Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. This thing right now that we're in, it never ceases to amaze me, the propaganda, the lies. I mean, what else would you expect? Let's talk about that just before anything else. So apparently, we got some very, very good news on the economy today with regard to third quarter GDP growth. It's solid and we are growing. Well, that's the headline here. Here's Barron's. This is today. U.S. economy sees solid growth and, of course, cooling inflation in the third quarter. Now, let's just see if that's true. Let's have a little fun here. I'm going to show you a chart here. This is from Trading Economics, comparing Q3 last year and Q3 this year. Let's see how much we're growing. Oh, wait a minute. We're not growing. We're contracting. Q3 23, Q3 24, 4.4, 2.8. How does that look? This is what I'm talking about. Why is it, people? There's no accountability. Zero. You see, because in years past, something like this would not pass the public sniff test. They would say, well, you know what? It's a freaking lie. It's an incredible thing to see. So right in our face, I mean, they think really that you are so stupid, that you have been so absolutely dumbed down that you can't take 2 seconds to just look this stuff up for yourself. You see, that's what they're counting on. That's what our puppets are counting on. You being stupid. They can sell you anything. I really imagine. It's too much. It really is out of control. Now, I want to talk about a couple of other things. With regard to this market, there's really nothing to speak about today. We did get a sell-off. Some mysterious entity started buying the debt. All of a sudden, it reversed. Stock market was higher, went lower. Okay, not much. Nothing happening with gold and silver. Crypto's relatively flat. The whole freaking market relatively flat, although we did finish kind of slightly in the red here. No, John Doe, you're not kind of dumbed down at all. You're laughing. When you see something like this, you're freaking laughing because you know it's all a lie. It's an astonishing place to be right now that we cannot get the truth at all. It's insane. Now, I want to talk about, look, you guys and girls that follow this blog are a very unique bunch of people here. You see things for how they actually are, not what they're being told to you, again, by some authority figure. They floated out a Brainerd, former Fed Vice Chair Brainerd today to tell us how GDP is growing. We're doing fantastic. Our economy is strong. But do you think she would show you this chart? Because you see right here, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You must be lied to. Here we go once again. It's an incredible thing to see. But again, I really believe what I'm going to say is because people are controlled. We have a controlled society. People can't open their mouths. They can't speak out anymore. They hold nobody to account. So what happens? The freak show gets freakier because we allow it to happen. There's no accountability. Even with this presidential selectee puppet or this presidential selectee puppet, they could say anything before their loving, cheering crowds, anything at all. Even if the people listening know it's false, they cheer about it. I mean, it's just an incredible thing. But we are witnessing the collapse of an empire here. Globally, the world, the people of this world have been absolutely disenfranchised. They've disenfranchised themselves. It's, maybe not so much in other parts of the world, but here in the United States, it's an incredible thing to see. Nobody says a word. Nobody speaks out. They've been silenced. It's just, I don't even know what to say about it. But anyway, look, here's what's happening here. We understand the situation. Okay, look, we are contracting. GDP, inflation is not dropping. It's 4 times higher than the number, at least 4 times higher than the numbers they're feeding us. We know it's all fake. Again, no one says anything. When you got the creature, Yellowstone Powell, paraded out before reporters, because they're really doing their job. They're bringing you the truth, the news. No one calls them out. They genuflect. When any of the Fed creatures appear before our loving, caring congressional leaders or presidents, they basically get on their hands and knees and start licking their feet. It's an incredible thing to see. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. We're being wiped out by these institutions. Actually, let's talk about getting wiped out. What we're seeing here is obviously mass debt creation via central banks. The side effect of it now, inflation, as you and I knew from years ago, would eventually happen. The blame game. It's Trump's fault. It's Biden's fault. Yes, like they have a printing press, right? They have the ability. A president has, right, somewhere in the Oval Office, there's a printing press, right? There also is a way they can just devalue the currency. That's the job of the president, right? It's the fault of them. Duh! How about no? It's a monetary policy issue, but you can't know that. And I find it so disgustingly vomitous that, again, when either of these presidential selectees right now were given the opportunity to point their fingers at the Federal Reserve about who's actually responsible for inflation, nothing, zero, deflection, distraction. Jeffrey, thank you. It's the truth. Anyway, look, man. What we know is going to happen here, no matter what happens on the 5th, we know there is one thing that is a lock. We are going to see debts and deficits balloon out of control. The fact of the matter is, the more currency that is created, the more that it's devalued, the more we suffer. You know what goes down that rat hole of currency devaluation, loss of purchasing power? Hopes, dreams, futures, standard of living. I could go on and on. But people don't think of it that way. They just think of the debt as some entity that's eventually going to get dealt with by whoever is going to deal with it. But the fact of the matter is, you and me and everybody else here on this freaking planet, we are paying for it with everything. Again, our hopes, our dreams, our standard of living, everything. And they make us work harder for those devalued currency wherever you are in the freaking world here, and then they sell it to you, and then you got our politicians. What they're going to do here, again, neither puppet has any plan at all to prevent currency devaluation. In fact, here in the United States, we have 2 puppets selling you the Fed's plan of currency devaluation via the promise of lower rates. And what are people doing? They're cheering about it. And again, those cheers, they're cheering for themselves to be sucked down that rat hole along with the currency. Again, hopes, dreams, futures, future generations. My heart goes out to all of you who are young. Okay, I am not a young person. But those of you that are, the future that you're facing is very certain. It's not that it's uncertain whatsoever. You are going to face hardship very soon. It's already getting to a point of extremes here that you have no idea, that no one has ever suffered before on the back of vast global debt expansion. Are we on the same page here? Am I making sense to you? I really hope so. Anyway, look, I just want a couple of things. I want to cover a few things with you regarding what's going to happen. You're going to see programs created out of nothing. Whoever is selected, okay, to throw X amount of cash here and billions and tens of billions over there for whatever scheme they can come up with to keep fueling the system. Again, without more fuel, and now the system, again, operates, you know this, in a perpetual vacuum. It's a black hole. The debt is never meant to be paid back. When you hear a presidential selectee saying we're going to pay their debt off in 2 years, remember that was Trump 2 years ago with tariffs? Of course, it never happened. You and I were laughing our rear ends off. Literally, go back and look at those videos, okay? Can never happen. We knew it couldn't happen. What happened? It exploded, okay? These are lies. These are tales that no one gets held to account for. Again, it's just not going to stop. We have endless cash for war. Right, Jonathan? Thank you. Endless cash. We can't fund our own government, ourselves, programs that we pay into for our whole freaking lives, depending on when we retire. It's just over. All this stuff is going to get tapped in already. You see what I'm talking about? Now, I want to talk about a few things here. This is right off of the U.S. Department of the Treasury's website. Again, the truth is always in your face. It's always hidden in plain sight. So I want to read this to you. So the U.S. Department of the Treasury goes on to describe to you and try to explain what is the national debt. Tyler, thank you. Exactly. The big, fat, ugly stock market bubble in 2016. Do you remember that? All of a sudden it changed. Every day after the market closed, what did Trump come out? What did the stock market do today? Rah, rah, rah. We're all rich. Referring to the Elon Musks, the 1% and 2%ers, and you and I, he's laughing at us. You have to understand, he was laughing at us then. He's going to laugh at us now if he's selected, and so will Kamala. But she's going to have a different face. They may look different, but you have to understand, when it comes to inflating debt, when it comes to making the Federal Reserve stronger, they're both on the same page, period. And that is the root cause of everything. Why hopes, dreams, standard of living, futures are being flushed down the toilet as this gets more out of control. So anyway, U.S. Department of the Treasury, what is the national debt? Let me just read this to you. This is right off of their website. The national debt is composed of distinct types of debt, similar to an individual whose debt may consist of a mortgage, a car loan, and credit cards. The national debt is the amount of money the federal government has borrowed to cover the outstanding balance of expenses incurred over time, debts and deficits. We keep running them at records. Who makes up the difference? It's the Federal Reserve, who's more than happy to lend, and they're monetizing everything. We'll talk more about that in a moment. The federal government needs to borrow money to pay its bills when its ongoing spending activities and investments cannot be funded by revenue that is brought in alone. Now, to finance the federal debt, the U.S. sells bonds. We know that. Who's the number one buyer of U.S. debt right now? Bing, bing, bing. It's the Federal Reserve. Let us move forward. This is something I found interesting from the Peter G. Peterson Foundation here. Let's just read through this real quick. It's very short. The federal government has borrowed trillions, but who owns all that debt? Now it goes on to say the Federal Reserve. First words, the Federal Reserve, which purchases and sells securities as a means to influence federal interest rates, we already know that, and the nation's money supply, is the largest holder of such debt. Duh again. Now, the Fed is monetizing the debt. Let's talk about that just a little bit. I'm going to read this to you. I don't even remember where I got this from, just fishing around online. So this is not my words. This is something I found. Here we go. Debt monetization or monetary financing is the practice of a government borrowing money from central banks to finance public spending instead of selling bonds to private investors and raising taxes. The central banks who buy government debt are essentially creating new money in the process to do so. So they're essentially doing it. No, they're actually doing it. It's not essential. They're actually doing it. Now, three things. Here's how the Fed monetizes debt. Are you ready? Number one, the Fed buys treasuries from the U.S. Treasury. I think we know that. Number two, the U.S. Treasury pays interest on securities to the Federal Reserve. Poof, out of nothing. The government uses that money to finance its deficit spending. People, come on, man. How many of you believe that any of it, is going to stop moving forward? All the propaganda. No, none of it is going to stop. It's going to get so much worse, so much crazier, so much more insane. And look, man, what do I always tell you? People get what they ask for all the time. It's almost like there's a global consciousness where people have been like lulled into, I don't know what. They've literally been turned into zombies. I don't know another way to put it. They can't think If they do think they can't speak, they don't hold anyone accountable anymore. So what happens? They get rolled over, rolled over. And that's what's happening here, everywhere around the world, no doubt about it. But here in the United States, more so than what's happening, people are being, what have we said would happen, you and me, from years and years ago? Here goes my blood pressure. Here it goes. I can feel it right now. They are creating dependency on the system, slaves to the system. People are going to lose it all down that rat hole, that sucking sound of ballooning debt here. This means liberties. This means freedom, people. We're just surrendering it. And some people, and this is the scary part, not you, and certainly not me, are willing to surrender it all so they can be taken care of from cradle to grave. And that's why the situation is what is again. But I'll tell you what the root cause of this is. In Greg Mannarino's opinion, and I want to hear from you on this, why is no one held to account? Why is it a contest of, I want my guy to win, and I don't care what he might say. I want or do or lie about anything. I want my girl to win, and I don't care what she says or lies about it. Doesn't matter. The people they've been silenced because they're too dumbed down or controlled to say anything. And this is why we lose. You understand? So that's, again, you have to think about it. If we understand clearly that this all is where we're going, this just makes it more evident to me and to you why we must take action to counter this. We people, look, those of us, you, me, a lot of new lions and cubs here, okay, who see the light, who are able to understand what's happening, pick up that veil and see what's on the other side of it. It is so ugly. It is so disgusting. We are being destroyed, people. I can't say this another way. I've said so many times, this is an extinction level event, and it all goes down with the debt hyperbubble. And wait till that bursts, people. Just wait for the bursting of the debt bubble. When we get what's coming to us, and it's coming, again, at a time of their choosing, the debt market bubble is going to burst. When that bubble bursts, the entire worldwide financial system is going to freeze up. It's going to lock by design, no comedy of errors. Just it's being fueled that way with more debt. And again, do you really feel like either one of these puppets working to sell you the Fed's plan is going to be there to save you, to bail you out of this whole thing? No, absolutely not. The world and the people are being brought to their knees. And that's what they're going to do. You know that. Just wait till the credit markets freeze up. What's going to happen? People are going to rush, first of all, again, zeros across the board with those digits that you think are in all of your accounts, me included. Those digits that I see, they're just going to vanish. They're not there. You go to your institution, you can't get your cash out. It's not there. Again, the flow of debt, the flow of credit is going to stop the moment that was really the issue. You know this. I've been telling you this for 1,000 years. The meltdown of 08. It wasn't that the stock market was crashing. It was not that at all. Markets crash all the time. They really do. It was that the credit markets were locking up. They can't fix it this time, nor do they want to. In 08, you have to understand it was a takeover. It was really a takeover of the system to reinflate these bubbles, create an artificial market, an artificial environment, just rip out any kind of price discovery behind it. This is not a market in any way, shape, or form. This isn't even an economy. We have no economy. What we've had here is vast amounts of debt pulled into the system under Obama, pulled into the system under Trump, pulled into the system under Biden. You think that's going to stop? You really do, Tyler. Thank you. Really, do you guys and girls really, look, man, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, and all of you are doing something about it. You're taking action. But I'll tell you something, man. When you, again, this is what you would expect. Lies, propaganda, distractions, and they think you're too stupid to just look it up for yourself. Lauren's cute. Thank you. Yeah, she's a smart lady, Danielle DiMartino. I've never spoken to her, honestly. I would like to. There's a lot of people I'd like to speak to, but I'll tell you something else, man. Like we're talking to people. First of all, I've come to find there's a lot of people out here who talk a really good game, man. Um, and I'm referring specifically to a lawsuit that I wanted to do against the Fed, raising awareness about the Federal Reserve. I reached out to every single YouTuber that all of you know, and I'm not going to mention any names here. Okay, maybe 3 of them actually said they were interested in backing any of this. There was no interest. So again, just be very careful as to where you're getting your information from. Again, they're going to talk a big game. They won't back it up. That's okay. Again, I am not discouraged because I can promise you we will take action against this organization. We need some serious firepower here. Okay, way bigger than what we have built. This thing we've built is pretty magnificent, but we are so infinitesimally small. We got to grow this thing. Maybe in 5 years, I don't know. We got to grow this thing. We're not even going to make it that far, Tyler. Thank you. But on the other side of this, I intend to still be here with all of you. Okay, and man, I don't even like to think about it. I don't even like to think about it where we're going here. And people, again, man, because of their lack of involvement, because they don't want to say anything or they've been too dumbed down to say anything, because they've been controlled. How does it feel to know that you and I exist in a controlled society? We are not in that controlled society. This Babylon system, we may have to live in it, but we're not of it, you and me. You understand? We're able to understand what's happening and see this very, very clearly. Now, you shouldn't feel lonely, Matthew, because you got a big family here, man. I'm part of your family. Everyone here is part of your family here, and we look out for each other. I've said this a million times. Every revolution, every solution starts out small, and I really feel that's who we are here. I don't know anybody else who I would actually trust after what I've learned recently with regard to, look, man, just be very careful where you're getting your information from. That's all I have to say. And make sure you're connecting with it too, because people know when they're being lied to. I've said this, well, no. I got that from my old friend Greg Hunter, who used to say, Greg, people know the truth when they hear it. He was absolutely right. At least I hope so. But again, the legions of people who are willing slaves who sit there and listen to the propaganda thrown at them by this puppet, by that puppet, and believe some of the same concepts that they were told last time, which of course never happened. But they believe it now because this time is different. You can't make this stuff up, man. It's impossible. It's impossible to do. It's impossible to do. Oh, anyway, guys and girls, is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here today? Before we call this a conclusion? Honestly, no one wants to poke the bear except you and me. You and me want to we don't want to just poke the bear. We want to blow it away. You understand? This system is just this is a suicide. I don't know another way to put it. People are killing themselves. They're allowing themselves to be destroyed. They're allowing themselves to be wiped out, and they believe it's going to change because of the vision of a puppet on this end or the vision of a puppet on the other end. Do they not learn anything from history? Recent history is just gone. It's just erased. We start off with a clean slate. Really? They think it's all going to change now? People, again, they're committing suicide. Not you and me. We're fighting. We're going to go down fighting no matter what. And we will never, ever get on our knees except before God. Are we on the same page here? I think we really are. You're right. People got to learn hard lessons, but man, haven't they learned already? I get it. Believe me. Nobody. And let me say this too. Jonathan, thank you. The bond market bubble is out of control. Me, okay, personally, I have made more mistakes in my personal and professional life than probably all of you combined. That's really the truth. I don't know why I had to learn through such hard knock lessons here. Hurt a lot of people along the way, very ashamed about it. Okay. Um, but there becomes a point where you gotta just say enough, man. You really, really do. People don't learn. Have they been in people maybe have become so dumbed down they can't learn anymore, um, or it's just dependency, or learned helplessness, like Pavlov's dog. I don't know, or it could be a combination of a multitude of different things. But the fact of the matter is, things are changing, and they're changing extremely rapidly, and they are not getting better. Not meant to get better. I think we're kind of on the same page here. Yeah, anyway, kind of it, man. That's all really for today. I can't Trump may not be perfect, but he can avoid war. It was not Trump's job to get the United States into war. Is that what, it was Trump's job to rebuild the military, okay? So it can be used. Now, it's all scripted. You understand? If you think Trump wasn't selected to do what he did, vast military spending, help the Fed pull $9 trillion into existence, taking credit for COVID and warp speed, that's his claim to fame. So don't talk about this nonsense about Trump maybe this. They're all the same. And if you think that this guy or that girl is going to be any different, then you are clearly among the dumbed down. Anyway, people, look, man, I'm sitting here preaching to the choir. And yeah, Trump may not be a commie, but he's a fascist. I think that's pretty obvious. We have a commie and a fascist. Oh, I tell you, man, people are too dumb. They really are. They just can't see, or they refuse to. Anyway, this is interesting. Bonds are going to zero. Let me tell you something. Everything's going to go to no bid. It's, gold and silver, maybe the only standouts here. With regard to cryptocurrency, people, look, man, I remain the biggest bull probably on Wall Street or anywhere else. And I do sincerely believe that people need exposure here to cryptocurrency. And they really, look, man, Kamala, Trump, if Trump is selected, the crypto space is going to go full on orgasm. All right. Kamala, it may get cut in half. You already know my position here. I intend to not close because I believe that the space will rebound very, very rapidly. And you got to expect volatility anyway. If you are in the crypto space and you don't expect extreme swings, you think it's all just going to be an uphill ride, well, then you're in the wrong spot too. All right. With regard to the stock market, that's a whole other animal here. As a whole animal. Gold and silver, you and I are going to hoard. Exposure to commodities. I heard, by the way, that Jim Rogers was on with Danielle Cambone, which I was on recently. And he said, in his opinion, that silver was the most undervalued assets around here. And I look, man, I don't need anyone to verify what you and I already know. But when you hear something like that coming out of the mouth of someone like Jim Rogers, it's a nice. I'm not going to say it's not nice to hear. It is nice to hear. You and I have been and remain on target. And it's just nothing can sway us from our plan here at all. The fly in the ointment really remains. And again, just put the cryptocurrency space aside, is the stock market. This hyper bubble in debt, this monster, it's a Frankenstein, is going to burst. System's going to lock up, no doubt about it. That's where we're going. Credit freeze, period, the end. Pandemonium in the streets. Forget about it. That's eventually where we're going. And more than likely, it's sooner than later, at least in my opinion. I think we're very close. I've been talking about 2025 for many, many, many months. And again, all this, if I could, one day I'm going to show you this nightmare of my desk here. All I do is look at things and the data, and I just connect the dots. It just looks like this is going to be a very, very bad time for people here. And unfortunately, they're leading themselves to the slaughter. This mechanism of debt creation and puppets selling you the Fed's plan here and helping the Fed pull cash into the now via war or COVID or whatever they got to do, working as close as they can with that institution so they can fulfill. Nothing can get in the way here of central banks. Understand that? They have a plan that's thousands of years old, but it really came into effect, you would say, over a century ago here in the modern system. But the entire monetary system has been controlled for thousands of years. I think we're pretty much on the same page with that. And this is all leading into an inevitable end. And unfortunately, we, the people who have been silenced, who have been dumbed down, who've been divided and conquered, controlled, again, they got exactly what they wanted. A society, especially here in the United States, that does not open their mouth against this person, against that person. We can't come together on an issue to elicit change. So what do? We get what we ask for. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. Not you and me. We're not asking for any of this. Okay, but we are counter strategizing against it. We're weaponizing their system. You understand? And I think we couldn't possibly be in a better spot than where we're at right now, people. And we're going to need each other more than ever. I'm telling you, to make the right connections. People on this blog is a great start. Maybe some of you even live near each other. It's really the truth. Get to know the people here. Most of them are on the right page here. Most of these people we have each other's interest in mind. We need each other. We're a family, man. Love each other, care about each other, be charitable to each other. This is what we live by. Every Friday, we come together and we do that. And we don't just do it for fun. We do it because that's the way we're going to win. Understand? By realizing that we are not each other's enemies, that we are a family worldwide, and we welcome everyone here to this pride. It's really the truth. But people don't want it. People want to be locked away. They don't even want you looking at each other. Facial expressions, whatever they can do to keep people lulled into whatever they wanted to be lulled into. Dysphoria, discontent, suffering, disenfranchisement. That's really what this all is. And people putting their faith in demigods or something along those lines leads to their own destruction, man, always. Anyway, man, I think that's about it, man. Anyway, that's where we're at, people. I really want to hear from you on this. All the stuff that we talk about as usual. Please share the video, get it out there. We will reconvene as usual in the morning. Halloween, by the way, and it's gonna be cool. I love looking at the little kids all dressed up. They're so freaking cute, man. You give them a little candy and a little sticker, and they just love it. You remember when that was you? I feel so bad for those kids, man. Breaks my freaking heart to think about the world that we in large part have left for them. Not you and me, baby, specifically, but you know what's happening. Again, the lack of accountability, the mechanism behind it all. It's a terrible thing. All right, look, I am out of here. I love all of you again from the heart. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support, your love. Those thumbs up. Let's work on that, okay? They help the algorithms, and I really, really need you to help with that. Seeds of destruction, John Doe. You're absolutely on target, man. Leonard, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We let this all happen. But look, man, I am the strongest proponent of believing that every day is an opportunity for us to turn it around every day. Look, man, like I was saying before, we all do things that we're not proud of. And sometimes you think about it and you just can't believe the person maybe you were just a few years ago or whatever it might be, 10 years or whatever it might be. But one day, once you realize that today or right now at this minute, you could turn it all around. You could flip it in a nanosecond, and it all could change. You got to learn one thing. You know what that one thing is? You know what that one thing is? And it's a difficult thing to do and very, very difficult. Are you ready to hear it? You got to learn to forgive yourself. You really do. You really do. It's part of healing. It's very difficult. But it's really the truth. All right, look, I can go on and on about this stuff, man. I really, really could. And I love being here with all of you. I love talking to all of you. I really, really do. I will see you in the morning, people. Until we meet tomorrow, please take care of yourselves and also take care of each other. All right.